Microsoft 365 has a lot of apps, but did you know you can build apps within the apps as a way to customize the product? Having apps within apps may seem crazy, but why not? It's a great way to extend your app into the tools that millions of people use every day. But it can be really hard to know where to start. There are actually 3 different app models for Microsoft 365, and this short video series will explain all of them, along with their variations. This video is part 2 in the series in which you'll learn about SharePoint Framework. SharePoint Framework apps run, of course, in SharePoint and also in Viva Connections, and they can be used in Microsoft Teams. If you're not familiar, SharePoint is a tool for sharing web pages, documents, and lists within an enterprise. Users can edit SharePoint pages to create websites for use in an intranet and for team collaboration. These pages are composed of web parts, which are written in SharePoint Framework, sometimes called SPFx. SPFx solutions run entirely in the user's web browser and are written in TypeScript. The framework allows your code to share the page with other web parts and SharePoint itself. The admin pages and App Store are located in the SharePoint Admin Center, even if you're targeting Microsoft Teams to display a full-page web part as a tab. While you can in theory use any web framework or library, most solutions are written in React, which is already on every SharePoint page. I used to do a good bit of SharePoint framework development, and I kind of miss it actually, but I don't have any good demos handy. So I asked my friend Julie Turner, CTO at Simpraxis Consulting, to demonstrate one of her custom SPFx web parts.
So here we have a page where we're going to try to put on a custom web part that pulls some organizational tools from a SharePoint list. And so if I come to a page that we sort of have set up here, I hit edit, and then I hit the add button. Now I could find my custom web part, in this case called Tool Finder. And when I add it to the page, I get the same edit experience I do for first-party web parts. I'm going to edit this and show that I could have a couple different layouts, and I can show and hide the description of the tools. I have an inline edit experience where I can pick the tools that I want to add into my web part. And then when I title this and say organization tools and save it, we get a visual of those tools from that SharePoint list. And that's how we can use a third-party web part to pull our own custom visualizations of information into our pages.
So this model is different because your web parts or other extensions such as headers, footers, custom field rendering, etc., they share the page with other web parts and with SharePoint itself. Your app is given an HTML div element in which to render itself, and all the code runs client-side. To build one, you begin with the Microsoft/SharePoint Yeoman generator or Teams toolkit. One cool thing about SharePoint Framework is that SharePoint hosts your app, so the cost is part of your customer's Microsoft 365 subscription, and that can reduce or eliminate your hosting costs as an app developer. You might have noticed, by the way, that Julie used a SharePoint list to store her backing data. That's entirely optional, but it has its advantages. Here's Julie again with details.
I've added a field customizer so that I can enable some favoriting functionality, as well as a custom edit form so that we have a really excellent form experience for customizing our individual tool items.
Earlier, I mentioned that some of these app models have variations, and a great example is Microsoft Viva Connections. Viva Connections is an employee engagement platform, sort of like a modernized part of an intranet, and you can customize it with a combination of SharePoint Framework and something called adaptive card extensions. To explain, I've invited another Microsoft MVP, Derek Cash-Peterson, who's a principal architect at Simpraxis.
Viva Connections is really the home for your intranet experience. It's that employee engagement or employee communication spot in your intranet. And it lives right here in Teams. We have one extension point, and that's adaptive card extensions. Adaptive card extensions use the adaptive card framework for their layouts and they use SharePoint Framework for the backend to get and set any of the data that you may want to show. You can also show them on your intranet. You can also see them using the mobile client. They work really, really well for mobile workforce. Now, here's an example of one that I've created for a mobile worker who's working as a help desk technician. 3 tickets pending, and these are my tickets, the ones that are assigned to me. When I click this, I can see what's called our quick view, and this is going to give me a listing of all of my different tasks. I can click on the button, and then I can get a lot more detail about the actual incident. Now, again, sort of focusing on that mobile story, we can use geolocation for the device, and we can actually get the directions to the location based on where the user actually is. So we can click Get Directions, and this is going to open up a browser window in the background. If you were on your mobile device, it would open up in the map. I can also use either the phone or my desktop to upload an image. So say I need to take an image of a piece of damaged hardware, I can do the same thing. Here from the desktop, I can choose anything on my desktop. But again, if you're using the mobile application, you can use the camera from your device. You could also synchronize this to your help desk system like Jira or Zendesk or anything with an API, really streamlining the application so that you can get your mobile workers to do what they need to do.
So again, this is based on SharePoint Framework and adaptive cards, which are these bits of interactive content expressed as JSON structures. I'm working on a whole episode about adaptive cards, so please subscribe to this channel if you want to catch it. Please stay tuned for part 3 in the series, in which I'll show you the Teams application model, which goes well beyond Microsoft Teams. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like, and please subscribe to our channel so you'll see all our Microsoft 365 developer videos in your feed.